Time isn't just a concept on a watch or a number on the clock. Time is your breath, your heartbeat, your energy, your days on earth. Time is life, and the moment you waste time, you are wasting the very essence of your existence. People throw away hours like they throw away spare change, not realizing that they are throwing away parts of their destiny. Every wasted minute is a piece of your story gone unwritten, a seed left unplanted, an opportunity you'll never see again. You see, most people treat time like it's always going to be there. They act like they've got unlimited tomorrows. I'll start next week, they say. I'll get to it when I feel ready. But here's the problem with that thinking tomorrow isn't promised. Time doesn't make deals. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just keeps moving, tick by tick, quietly, relentlessly. And if you're not paying attention, it slips through your fingers while you're busy making excuses. Imagine this. Someone deposits $86 for $100 into your bank account every morning. You can spend it however you like, but at midnight, whatever you don't use disappears. You can't save it. You can't carry it over. You have to use it wisely. Now ask yourself, how carefully would you spend that money? How much attention would you give to every dollar? That's exactly what time is. You get 400 seconds every day. No more, no less, and once they're gone, they're gone. The tragedy is that most people would protect their money more than their minutes. They'll argue over a bill, but they'll give away hours to distractions. They'll guard their wallet, but leave their calendar open to anyone and anything. They waste time because they don't feel the cost until it's too late. You can earn more money. You can recover lost possessions. You can rebuild your reputation, but you can never recover lost time. Once it's spent, it's carved into history. And what you choose to do with it defines the quality of your life. Time is the currency of your future, and every choice you make is either buying you freedom or debt. You're either using time to build a life worth living, or you're letting it erode your potential. Every moment you sit in indecision, scrolling, complaining, putting things off, that's a moment you could have used to learn, to grow, to move, to connect, to become better. And let's be clear, rest is not a waste of time. Recharging is not laziness, but mindless drifting. That's different. That's when you're letting the days blur together, doing things that don't matter, just to avoid the things that do. One of the greatest regrets of older people is not the mistakes they made. It's the time they wasted. They look back not with anger, but with sorrow, not because of what they did, but because of what they could have done if they had valued their time more. That's the silent tragedy of wasted years. What if you could see your time the same way you see your money? What if every hour had a price tag? What if every day was a deposit that demanded a return? How would you live then? What would change? Who would you stop wasting your energy on? What habits would you finally let go of? What dream would you finally start? Most people want a better life, but they won't make better use of their time. They want success without structure. They want results without responsibility. But the truth is, your future is hidden in how you spend your hours today. That's where the difference is made, not someday, not one day, but this day. And you don't need a full year to turn your life around. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a sense of urgency. You need to stop acting like you've got forever. You need to look at your calendar with the seriousness it deserves, because you're not just managing your time, you're managing your life. Every day you get is a gift, but it's not guaranteed, and that gift doesn't come wrapped in ribbons. It comes wrapped in decisions. Every choice you make, every distraction you fight, every moment you protect, that's how you show you understand the value of your life. Time is not a luxury. It is not a side note. It is not something you kill or pass. It is your most precious asset, and it demands to be respected. There's a difference between spending time and investing time, and it's not just about language. It's about mindset. Poor people spend their time the same way they spend their money, casually, carelessly, and without any long-term return. But the successful, the disciplined, the builders, they invest their time. They look at their minutes like capital, their days like opportunities, and their calendar like a portfolio. The way you handle your time says everything about the future you're headed toward. You've probably heard it said, time is money. That's not quite true. Time is far more valuable than money. You can lose money and get it back. You can file for bankruptcy and start fresh. But you can't rewind time. You don't get to refill the hourglass. Once time is spent, it's written in stone. So when someone wastes a day, it's not just a lazy decision. It's a self-inflicted loss they can never recover from. Now think about how poor thinking handles time. It says, let me kill some time. It says, I'll do it later. It says, I don't feel like it today. It treats time like it's infinite, like there's always more coming. So it spends it on low-return activities, mindless entertainment, shallow conversation, distractions that offer comfort but no real progress. It's the kind of mindset that burns 2 hours scrolling and then complains there's never enough time to build something meaningful. Contrast that with how a successful person approaches the same 24 hours. They don't spend time. They invest it. They ask, what will this hour produce for me in a week, in a year, in 10 years? They evaluate where their time goes because they understand that it compounds. Just like interest in a bank account, time used wisely starts to grow. 1 good hour today, repeated daily, can turn into a new skill. 1 focused week can produce clarity. 1 disciplined month can birth momentum. You see, the results you want are already hiding in your current schedule. They're just buried beneath the clutter, underneath the time-wasting habits that have gone unnoticed. If you want to know where your life is going, don't ask your friends. Don't check your bank balance. Just open your calendar, look at what you did yesterday and the day before. Look at how much time you gave to your dreams, your goals, your health, your relationships. Your calendar doesn't lie. It tells the story of your future with brutal honesty. A man who spends time will always be dependent on someone else's system, someone else's approval, someone else's handouts. But a man who invests time becomes independent. Because time invested gives you leverage. It gives you skill. It gives you value in the marketplace. It gives you confidence. When you build something over time, whether it's your knowledge, your mindset, your business, or your character, that becomes a foundation no one can take from you. The problem is, most people want instant payoff. They want a return by tomorrow, so they don't invest because investment takes time and patience. But the real wealth, the deep success, doesn't come from fast results. It comes from smart consistency. It comes from the compound effect of tiny daily investments, a book read every week, a habit practiced every morning, an idea pursued every evening instead of watching TV. These things may look small today, but given enough time, they separate you from the crowd in ways that are almost unbelievable. Let's not confuse busy with productive. Poor thinkers fill their day with tasks. They feel important because their to-do list is long, but they rarely produce anything that truly matters. The successful don't just work hard, they work smart. They ask, what's the return on this hour? And if the answer is nothing meaningful, they drop it. Because successful people understand that life isn't about being busy, it's about being effective. They measure time by what it produces, not just how it passes. And investing your time doesn't always mean hustle. Sometimes the wisest investment is rest. Sometimes it's quality time with family, or taking care of your body, or sitting in silence to gain perspective. But the difference is this: it's done intentionally, it's scheduled, it's honored, it has purpose. You can waste time by doing too much just as easily as by doing nothing at all. The key is alignment, spending your hours in a way that aligns with who you want to become. Time is a tool, not a toy. It's either working for you or against you. When you treat time like a friend, like a trusted asset, it begins to reward you. It multiplies your efforts. It creates space for success to show up. But if you abuse it, if you treat it like junk, it turns into regret. And regret is one of the heaviest things a man can carry, not because of what he lost, but because of what he didn't build when he had the time to do it. People often talk about what they want. They say things like, I want to be successful, or I want to be healthy, or my family is the most important thing to me. But if you want to know what someone truly values, don't listen to what they say. Look at their schedule. Your schedule is a mirror. It reflects your real priorities. It doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't make excuses. It shows exactly where your time goes, and that tells the truth about who you are and what matters to you. It's easy to speak words. It costs nothing to say, I care about my goals, or I want to grow. But actions speak louder. And time, more than anything, reveals action. You can tell me you want to write a book, but if there's no time blocked on your calendar for writing, I know it's just a wish. You can tell me your health matters, but if your schedule doesn't include time to move your body, prepare your meals, or get rest, then health is just a theory in your life, not a practice. We all get 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. That's the great equalizer. What separates people isn't how much time they get, it's how they use it. Your schedule is not just a list of tasks or appointments, it's a declaration. It's saying, this is what matters to me. This is where I put my focus, my effort, my life. You may not realize it, but every hour you give to something is a vote for what you value. The question is, are you voting for what truly matters or just reacting to whatever shows up? So many people are living by default. They let other people fill their time. They say yes to things they don't even care about. They're constantly reacting, constantly distracted, constantly busy, but not fulfilled. Being busy is not a badge of honor if what you're busy with isn't meaningful. If your calendar is full of meetings, errands, and noise, but empty of growth, connection, or purpose, then you're not managing your time. You're just letting your life drift. And here's the truth. If you don't design your schedule around your priorities, the world will design it for you. The world will always have something for you to do, another show to watch, another email to answer, another meaningless task to chase. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your best years giving your best time to things that don't bring you closer to who you want to be. If your goals matter, they deserve space on your calendar. If your family matters, they deserve your undivided attention, not just your leftover time after everything else is done. If your personal development matters, then reading, learning, thinking, Reflecting these things should not be optional extras. They should be scheduled like important meetings, because that's what they are. Meetings with your future self. Look at your last week and ask yourself, what did I spend the most time on? What did I say yes to that I didn't really need to? What got scheduled automatically and what never got scheduled at all? These are the questions that reveal not only how you're living, but why you're not growing. If you want to change your life, start by changing your time. If you want to improve your results, improve how you allocate your hours. Your calendar is a tool. Use it to shape your future. Use it to protect your focus. Use it to say no to the things that waste your energy, and yes to the things that build your purpose. Don't just let the day happen to you, design it. Don't just hope things improve, plan them. And if something is important to you, don't just say so. Make it visible in your daily actions. People who win at life are not more talented, more connected, or more lucky. They are simply more intentional. They don't leave things to chance. They don't wait until they feel like it. They treat their schedule like a contract. If they've committed time to something, they show up. And over time, those small, consistent actions compound into transformation. You cannot master your life until you master your time, and you cannot master your time until you take full ownership of your schedule. That means looking at every hour with clarity and courage. Clarity to know what matters, courage to cut what doesn't. When you do that, your life begins to take shape not around distractions or obligations, but around meaning and momentum. And the more aligned your schedule becomes with your values, the more peace, power, and progress you'll experience. Because when what you say and what you do begin to match, everything in your life begins to shift. Discipline is the bridge between time and treasure. You can have all the time in the world, but without discipline, it will slip through your hands like sand. Time by itself doesn't create success. Time only gives you the opportunity. It is discipline that converts that opportunity into something meaningful. It is discipline that takes the raw material of your hours and sculpts it into value, into skill, into progress. Without discipline, your time is wasted potential. With it, your time becomes the most powerful asset in your life. A person with no discipline will always be poor. Poor in results, poor in self-respect, poor in the quality of their relationships and dreams. Because without discipline, every good intention gets hijacked by distractions. You say you'll wake up early, but the alarm rings and the undisciplined mind says, just 10 more minutes. You plan to read that book, but the undisciplined hand reaches for the phone instead. You promise to focus, to be productive, to stay consistent, but without discipline, your promises dissolve the moment comfort shows up. Discipline is the decision to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's the ability to say no to what's easy and yes to what's necessary. Most people never realize how powerful they could become simply because they've never trained themselves to stay consistent when motivation disappears. And motivation will disappear. It's a visitor, not a resident. Discipline is the one that sticks around when emotions fade. There's a great reward for the person who chooses discipline. 1 focused hour, truly focused, not distracted, not half-hearted, is worth more than 10 hours spent drifting through tasks with no clarity. 1 hour of disciplined effort every day, over time, will put you in a class of your own. While others waste time complaining, procrastinating, or searching for shortcuts, you'll be building a foundation they'll envy. That's the magic of discipline. It turns time into treasure. and the treasure multiplies as you stay consistent. The most successful people in the world are not necessarily the smartest. They're not always the most talented, but they are often the most disciplined. They show up when others quit. They stick with the plan when others get bored. They work while others are distracted, and because of that, they collect the rewards that most people never taste. Success is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of habit, and habit is the result of discipline repeated daily. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't just make you more productive. It makes you more powerful. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you gain strength. Every time you resist a temptation, you grow in confidence. Every time you follow through when it's hard, you build the muscle of self-trust. And when you trust yourself, when you know that you'll do what you say, your whole world begins to change. You walk differently. You think differently. You live with purpose because you've proven to yourself that you're in control. But discipline isn't built overnight. It's not something you wake up with one morning. It's a decision you make over and over again. It's built in the small moments, getting up when you want to sleep in, finishing the task when you'd rather quit, saying no to something fun so you can say yes to something important. These are the moments that shape your character. These are the choices that separate the serious from the scattered. There will always be something easier to do than the thing that matters. There will always be something more comfortable than growth. That's why discipline is rare. Most people choose pleasure now and pay for it later, but the disciplined choose to pay now and receive the reward later. They understand that delayed gratification isn't punishment, it's wisdom. They know that today's sacrifice is tomorrow's freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain leverage. You no longer react to life. You direct it. You choose your focus. You choose your pace. You choose your progress. And you begin to notice that while others are stuck repeating the same cycles, you're climbing, evolving, advancing. Not because you're better, but because you've learned to control what they haven't. Your choices, your impulses, your time. The discipline to use your time wisely becomes your greatest advantage. It helps you build a future that others only dream about. It protects your goals from the storms of emotion, distraction, and doubt. It transforms your calendar into a blueprint for achievement. Discipline is what ensures that your time doesn't just pass, it produces. It creates value where others waste energy. It builds a legacy where others leave regret. Discipline takes the same 24 hours that everyone gets and turns them into something far greater than hours ever appear to be on a clock. Time doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It doesn't make an announcement. It doesn't send a warning before it runs out. The clock just ticks, steadily, silently, and without emotion. And whether you're paying attention or not, it's taking pieces of your life with every tick. Most people walk through life as if they've been promised 1,000 more chances, as if the years will stretch endlessly into the future. But they haven't realized the truth yet. The clock is always ticking, and it never moves in reverse. People think they have time. That's the lie. They say, "I'll start tomorrow," not realizing they may have just wasted the only today they had. They say, "I'll fix it next week," not knowing if next week will even arrive. The idea that we have time to spare is one of the most dangerous illusions we live with. Life is short, whether you live to be 30 or 90. The number doesn't matter. What matters is how you used it, and how much of it you let slip through your fingers while you were thinking about it. Regret doesn't come from failing. It comes from waiting too long to start. It comes from looking back and realizing the window has closed. That the chance you ignored has now become someone else's. That the people you took for granted are no longer in reach. That the body you neglected is now breaking down. That the dream you delayed has now faded into the past. The pain of regret is heavy because it's the one thing you can't fix. You can't go back and buy back the time you wasted. Urgency is not panic. Urgency is not chaos. It is not rushing around with stress and fear. True urgency is calm, focused, and intentional. It's the mindset that says, I don't have time to waste on things that don't build my future. It's clarity that leads to decisive action. It's living each day with the awareness that it matters, that it counts, that what you do today is shaping who you become tomorrow. Urgency is the wake-up call that many people need, but few answer, until it's too late. Most people live in two time zones, the past and the future. They're either stuck in what they did wrong or dreaming about what they'll do someday, but life only happens in the present. You don't have power over yesterday, and you can't live in tomorrow. The only power you have is now. Right now, this hour, this decision, this action. And the ones who win in life are not the ones who plan the most, but the ones who execute in the moment. They don't just talk about urgency, they live it. Urgency forces you to choose. It makes you uncomfortable with wasting time. It doesn't allow you to keep hanging around in toxic environments. It doesn't let you sit in front of the TV for 5 hours when your goals are starving. It asks you tough questions. Why are you still tolerating this? Why haven't you started what you know you're meant to do? Why are you waiting for permission to become who you know you can be? Urgency doesn't whisper. It speaks clearly, but you have to be willing to listen. Life has seasons, and not all of them come back around. Opportunities don't knock forever. Some doors close, some chances expire. There's a limited window where things align. And if you're not prepared, if you're not ready, life will pass the baton to someone else. That's the truth that many don't want to hear. They want life to wait for them to be comfortable, but it won't. You either meet the moment or miss the moment. And when it's gone, it's gone. There is nothing more motivating than understanding the value of your own time. Not in theory, but in reality. When you truly grasp that your minutes are your life, you start acting with intention. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop making deals with distractions. You stop putting off the things that matter because you realize that the cost is too high, that every delay is a withdrawal from the bank account of your future. It doesn't take a dramatic event to change your life. It takes a shift in awareness, a decision that today is no longer going to be thrown away, that your time will no longer be spent on things that keep you small, that from this point forward, your hours will serve your purpose, not your habits, that your days will be used with care because you finally understand their value. The clock doesn't slow down. The world doesn't stop turning, and your life doesn't wait. Every sunrise brings you closer to the end, and in that truth lies all the power you need to live fully, act boldly, and leave no space for regret. Time is the great currency of life. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or stored. It can only be used, and how you use it determines who you become. The poor mindset spends time like loose change, without thought or intention. But the wise, the disciplined, the purposeful, they treat time like treasure, knowing that every hour holds the potential to shape their destiny. If you want to change your life, don't start with your finances or your circumstances. Start with your calendar. Look at how you spend your days. because they will soon become your years. Measure your time not by how fast it passes, but by what it produces. Honor your time by aligning it with your values, your goals, your vision. Live each day with the awareness that it counts. Every moment is a seed, and every choice is a builder of either regret or reward. Time doesn't care if you waste it, but your future will. The question is not whether you have time. The question is whether you will own it. Use your time with purpose. Invest it with discipline. Protect it with urgency. And live in such a way that when the clock finally stops, there is nothing left unsaid, undone, or unlived.